Well, ACT Party leader David Seymour joins us now, and congratulations, David, on being able to form the next government and perhaps being able to do it without Winston Peters. But is it too soon to say that?
I think it is. If you're a Democrat, you have to believe that every single person's vote counts. And right now there's about 500,000 people who cast a special vote for whatever reason. Their votes count too, and they won't be counted for a couple of weeks. That doesn't mean that we can't start looking at the outlines of what a new government would look like. I expect to be talking with Chris Luxon and starting to say tentatively this is what we'd like to do, because clearly people have voted for change. Record numbers have voted ACT for real change. And I think this country needs it. We've had a really good start with the All Blacks, victorious under a change of government, but there's a lot more serious change that New Zealand needs.
Absolutely, and you have been put in the box seat by voters last night in terms of those coalition talks with National. You've talked there about starting to outline some of the things that you want. What is it that you want? Is it policies? Is it influence? Is it both? Is there something specific that or specific things you go into that negotiation with?
Look, for ACT, it's always been about policy, because we can't change our geographical isolation, we can't change our population or find some natural resources magically, but what New Zealand can do is change the policy settings so that people's creativity comes to the fore. At the moment, I think government takes too much resource, uses it badly, and delivers poor quality services. So we've got to stop government waste, and we've got to put some metrics on the delivery of services, because at the moment we're just not doing well enough at that. Even just something as simple as running the election, the Electoral Commission, I think has some real questions to answer. And I think while they've been pursuing a bunch of other flowery objectives, they forgot to do the real basic stuff right, like send out the voter packs and make sure your IT works. Well, that kind of failure is pervasive through government. I think the attitude that's been taken to law and order, I agree with rehabilitation. We need to do better wrapping around support, but you also got to have some red lines that protect victims, because at the moment we've just got not crime but lawlessness, and this conversation around our treaty, as you heard in the previous interview, it has to happen.
I want to talk to you about that, because that is something that you have stated as a bottom line in terms of going into that coalition. Does that remain, that you want a referendum on the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi?
Well, let's be clear, I've always avoided that term. I think it's a silly term. Ultimately, what you're going into is something akin to a marriage, where you've got to keep your own identity and purpose. I think somebody was saying that Winston Peters might end up being Camilla, but but in any event, I think what's important is that we say, look, these are things that New Zealand needs, and make the case that they're needed. But once you start talking about is this a bottom line or whatever, then I think you start to get into a kind of level of horse race political commentary that I don't think is helpful, given the size of the challenges we need to get stuck in and fix.
So what can Kiwis expect now? We're not going to find out, the specifics of these negotiations, but what can they expect? Will you be talking to Christopher Luxon today? How soon will those coalition negotiations begin?
Oh, I'm sure we'll chat today. In terms of formally, properly meeting, I suspect that's a few days down the track. And that, again, is tentative, because we've got to say, OK, well, let's see where the votes are going to go, what do we need, and work from there.
There's still so much more to come, but it is great to be in a new part of the process, David, and congratulations on that result last night.
Thank you very much, and thank you especially to everyone who has put their trust by lending their party vote to ACT. We now have to work double hard to repay your trust, and we look forward to it.
Absolutely. Thank you, David.